Welcome to Ground Control RC. In this show and tell tutorial, I'm going to show you and tell you how I installed FPV camera on my little WLToys K969 drift car. As you can see in the monitor here, we have a working FPV system. And then we'll have a little video just demo after we go through the show and tell tutorial so that you can see exactly what it looks like driving this thing with an FPV camera on it. And let me get this disconnected. Alright. Okay, let's go ahead and take the body off of it. And this was a relatively simple setup, especially since this car uses its balance port as its discharge port. So, let's see here. So since the car uses the balance port from the battery to power the car, and it leaves the discharge port open, what I did was I took one of these little micro switching voltage regulators that will take anything from a 2-cell to a 6-cell input on the voltage and then output it at 5 volts. And since this little micro all-in-one FPV camera here will operate off of 3.5 to 5.5 volts, it works perfect for it. So I just basically taped this down, put a JST connector on it so I could use the JST power port from the battery since the car's not using it. And I always use servo connectors for my all-in-one micro FPV systems because I typically power them off of receivers for my aircraft. But pretty simple setup. JST connector as your input port to your switching voltage regulator that will output 5 volts. I crimped servo connectors on the other end, servo connector on my micro FPV camera, and I just used one of these little pivot micro camera mounts. It just has a tension screw, and what I would recommend when you set your camera up on top of your car, and what I've done here, I don't have it mounted permanently yet. I just used double-sided tape to hold it onto the car because I want to try the camera in a couple different positions on the roof, moving it forward and moving it back to see where I like the video feed the best. I like being able to see the the hood of the car when I'm driving, but I might want to move it a little bit further forward than what it is now. I just took a drill bit and drilled a hole out of the top part of this back glass, and the hole is just large enough that I can get 2 of those little single pin shrouds for the servo connectors through that hole to connect here. And then when you get your camera mounted where you want it, where you like it best, then I'm just going to take some hot glue and go ahead and mount that camera plate on top of the roof of the car where it gives me the best picture in the camera. But yeah, it's a pretty simple process. I will have links to the camera mount, the camera itself, the switching voltage regulator that I have on here, as well as another one that I've used before that they both work really well. And so if you want to, you can set up your own FPV system on your drift car, and you can do this with any vehicle. So I mean, you can transfer this to any vehicle. The only thing that may be different on your setup than mine is the connectors that you use for your input and outputs on your voltage regulator. But other than that, I will leave you with that. Thanks for watching. Please give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out our Patreon site. We have a lot of free content there as well. And I will leave you with a little FPV footage of this car with this camera system on it. So I will see you next time.